Okay, yesterday we did P2, or I say yesterday, I know it was last week, but we did section P2, and that was talking about radicals and rationals, exponents, simplifying, breaking down, that sort of thing. We will go over all of your homework questions from today and tomorrow in class. And then Wednesday, we'll do an all-class quiz review to prepare you for your quiz, which is now Thursday. I changed it in Canvas, so now it's Thursday. So if you guys look at this first slide, we're going to talk about what a polynomial is. What does the word poly mean? Many. A polynomial is an expression that has many terms, okay? We need to understand like what a term is and stuff like that. Again, if you already know this, fantastic. If not, we'll look at this. This first polynomial has 4 terms. If you guys notice, terms are separated by plus and minus signs. So the 4 terms in this expression are 4x squared is the first one. The second one is negative 5x to the 7th. The third is negative 2, and the fourth term is 3x. When you write an expression in standard form, what do the exponents have to be in? They have to be in greatest least. They have to be in descending order. So if you notice here, x to the 7th, x to the 2nd, x, and then your minus 2, which is your constant. All right, your constant is this number at the end that does not have a variable. So there'll be a question on your quiz that gives you an expression, says, write this in standard form. Tell me the degree. Tell me the leading coefficient. Tell me the constant. Well, the degree is the highest exponent. It's not just any exponent. It's the highest one. And the leading coefficient is the number in front, not the number and the letter. It's just the number. Does everyone understand that? We look at the second one. 4 minus 9x squared. Well, if we write that in standard form, negative 9x squared is going to come first. The plus 4 is second. There's 2 terms. The 2 terms are negative 9x squared, God bless you, and 4. The degree is 2 because that's the highest exponent we see. And then your constant, the number without a variable, is 4. If you had an expression like 17x to the 5th minus 12x squared plus 4x. How many terms are there? 3. What is the leading coefficient? 17. What's the degree of this polynomial? 5. What's the constant?
1.
Is there one? Is there anything right here that says plus or minus a number? You could either say no, there's no constant, or you could say 0 because this is, in effect is 0. But you can say none if there isn't one. That's totally okay. All right, if we talk about degrees, think about this. You have x squared, x to the 0 power, because this is the first power, right? What's x to the 0 power? What's anything raised to 0 power? 1. So that's why if you have a constant, if you have a number with no letter with it, that's the same as x to the 0 power. So your degree here would be 0. Just so you guys see that. All right, let's go to the next. This is also a polynomial. How is this one a little different from the other ones?
X and Y.
X and Y. Perfect. So if they ask you for the degree in a situation where you have more than one variable, where did they get 11 from? What does it say?
You add up the
You sum of the exponents. You add up the exponents, and whichever one is the biggest, that's the degree. Do you see how we have here 3 plus 6 gives me 9, 1 plus 1 gives me 2, and 7 and 4 gives me 11. Which number is highest? 11. That's the degree of this polynomial. That only happens when you have a whole bunch of different variables together. You will also have an answer on some of your problems that you do, probably for homework or on your quiz, that have X's and Y's in it. And some of you are going to be like, I don't know how to write it. Well, generally, you write the letters in alphabetical order. If you have X's and Y's and Z's, then write X, then Y, then Z. That makes sense? Okay. That's good. Let's get to some work here. All right, these expressions are not polynomials. Anybody have an idea why?
They have an equation. It's equal.
Not necessarily, but I understand what you're saying. What they're telling you here is that these two things are the same thing. But it's good that you see that the left side is the same as the right-hand side. What does this equation have that looks weird from the other thing that we had? What? Okay, a radical. We could say no radical. What else? What about on the right-hand side if they had it written like that? A fractional exponent. Good. No fractional exponents. Fractional exponents. And then what's over here? Two things. It's the same equation, it's just written two different ways. What are the two things over here that are a problem? -1. Good. You cannot have no negative exponents. Very good, guys. Not just that it's a fraction. What's the biggest thing that's a problem? It's a variable in the denominator. No variables in denominator. Because what could x possibly equal?
0.
X could be 0, sure. And what happens when 0 is in a denominator?
Undefined.
It makes it undefined. Perfect. So those are the rules. You can have an expression that has 107 different terms. But there are some rules that make something not a polynomial. One rule is you cannot have a radical in your expression or equation. You cannot have fractional exponents. You cannot have a variable in the denominator, not just that it's a fraction. You cannot have a variable in the denominator and no negative exponents. You guys with me? All right, so moving along. All right, sum and difference. Guys, you've got to pay attention to this because these problems can be really, really easy, but you can really mess them up. Do you notice that you have two large parentheses? Yes? What is in between this parenthesis? A plus sign. You're taking the first expression and adding it to the second. What's going on here? Subtracting. You're taking the first one and subtracting the second. If they were stuck together, that's when you would multiply. But some of you on your quiz, you're going to get a problem like this and you're going to start foiling. You're going to be like, oh, I got to do all this. No, that's not what that says. That says parenthesis number 1 plus parenthesis number 2. When you have an addition problem, the easiest thing to do is leave it just like it is and say, okay, I'm going to start off with the highest exponent. What exponent is the highest? X to the third. So I have 5x to the thirds here, and I have 1x to the third here. So it gives me a total of? 6x. There's 6x to the third, 6x cubed. The next exponent is squared. So I have negative, because the sign in front goes with it. Make sure you scan out. I have negative 7x squared. All right, so negative 7x squared and a positive 2. What's negative 7 plus 2? Minus 5x squared. Great. And then I have a negative 3 and an x. Do they go together? No. Stay in order, guys. What would be my next term? Minus x. Good. There's nothing else to combine. And then I have what? Minus 3 plus 8 gives me plus 5. And there you go. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. Don't complicate things if you don't need to. Now, in this case, how is B a little different? There's a what in the middle? There's a subtraction sign. Can you just go ahead and combine these? No. This subtraction goes to everything in this second parenthesis. Guys, something to make sure you're paying attention to. Do you see how both of these were written in standard form? All of the exponents were already in order. It's probably not going to be like that on your quiz. So make sure you don't just go, oh, the first thing with the first thing, the second thing with the second thing. Make sure they're in order. Two ways you could do this. You can go through and just go ahead and change all the signs, or I would rewrite it. That's just me. I would rewrite. I'd say 7x to the 4th minus x squared minus 4x plus 2. Everything stays the same. Then we distribute that negative. So it becomes minus 3x to the 4th. A negative times a negative is a positive 4x squared. And then minus 3x. Everybody with me? Now that you've distributed that negative sign, you can just combine like terms. What's the highest exponent that you see? So 7x to the fourth minus 3x to the fourth. I know some of you are like, I am not going to circle it. I'm not in the second grade. Okay, fine. The reason I do that is so I don't miss a sign and I make sure I didn't say that that's 10. Is that 10? No, 7 minus 3 gives me what? So I have 4x to the fourth. What's the next exponent that would come? Okay, there's no x to the third, so now I say 2. So I have minus x squared plus 4x squared gives me plus 3x squared. Good. And then another color. X's, negative 4x, negative 3x, minus 7x. Good. Then what? Plus 2. All right, so let's answer all the questions about this. What is the leading coefficient? Okay, what's the not
4.
the 4. 4 is the number in the front. It's like the line leader when it's in order. What is the degree?
4.
Good, highest exponent. How many terms does this have? 4. What's the constant? 2. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Everybody all right? All right, scoot along. All right, we have changed things, guys. We are no longer adding. Do you see how these two parentheses are stuck together? Yes? That means we're going to multiply. Some of these problems get really gross, and that's okay. We're going to distribute. We're going to FOIL, however you want to say it. This first example, negative 4x times. All you're doing is taking that negative 4x and multiplying it to everything inside this parenthesis. Agreed? We have to remember our rules. We multiply the coefficients together, and then if we have the same base, we add the exponents. So negative 4 times negative 3 is? Negative 12. X to the first times x to the second is? X cubed. Good. Add the exponents. So negative 4x times 5. Well, negative 4 times 5 is? Negative 20. X times x is? X squared. Negative 4x times negative 1 is? Plus 4x. In problems like this, guys, it's really hard for me to give you partial credit. We have to know that a negative times a negative is a positive. We have to know that when we multiply bases that have the same, multiply variables that have the same base, that you add exponents, those sorts of things. That's what we're testing you on right now. So make sure you're just paying attention. I know this seems very basic, but there's lots of places to make mistakes. Questions? All right, this is a little different. This is a binomial times a binomial. This is where we FOIL. Some of you are like, oh, I forget what that stands for. That's okay. First, outer, inner, last. Just take the first term and distribute it to the first term. So negative 7 times 5 is? Negative 35. And then I just have my y, correct? So now you say first times this one. Negative 7 times negative 9 is? Positive 63. Y times y is? Y squared. Great. So now I take the second term. So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times negative 9y minus 27y. Now, if you were to stop right here, this is not your correct, complete answer because it's not in standard form, and you can combine my terms. What's the highest exponent you see? 2. So I'm going to start off here with 63y squared. Can I do something with negative 35 and negative 27? Yeah, we can combine them, right? Because they both have y to the first. What's negative 35 minus 27? Guys, if you can't do that in your head, go like this. 35, 27, watch. Right? Negative 62, good. Negative 62y, and then what? Plus 15. And there is your final answer. Make sure it's written in standard form and that you have combined all like terms. Everybody with me? All right, let's look at this last one. This one just gets gross, right? You might have some that have two variables, x's and y's. That's fine. You treat everything the same. What you're in a sense doing is you are taking this 3y and you're multiplying everything in that second parenthesis. Then you're going to take 6 and multiply it to everything in that second parenthesis. So just take your time. 3y squared to 4y cubed. 3 times 4 is 12. Y to the 5th. Good. 3y squared to negative 5y squared. 3 times negative 5. Negative 15. Y to the 4th. Negative 3y squared to 9y. Plus 27y to the 3rd, or cubed, yeah? All right, now we're going to take 6, do the same thing. 6 times 4 is 24, y cubed. 6 times negative 5y squared is negative 30, y squared. And then 6 times 9 is 6 times 9? 54, y. All right, now we just find the highest exponent. Work off of that. Take your time. What's the highest exponent you see? 5. Is there anything else that has a y to the 5th? So just rewrite it. 12y to the 5th. Next exponent is to the 4th. So I have negative 15y to the 4th. Anything else? Okay, perfect. Minus 15y to the 4th. Cubed. Positive 27. Positive 24. What's 27 and 24? 51. Y cubed. Good. All right. Then I have minus 30y squared plus 54y, correct? Good. What's the leading coefficient? 12. What's the degree? 5. What's the constant? 0 or none. Perfect. Good. Good job. All right, sometimes you guys will see special products and you can just do it in your head. Sometimes it's a little harder. On your quiz, you will have something that's going to be a special product or something that's a little larger that you have to multiply. A special product just means difference of perfect squares, something like that. We're going to get to factoring in a second. Not in a second, but in a couple days. But if you were to FOIL this, guys, what's x times x? X squared. What's x times negative 4? Negative 4x. What's 4 times x? Positive 4x. What's 4 times negative 4? All right. What do you guys notice happens with negative 4x, positive 4x? It cancels out. So you're just left with x squared minus 16. The reason this is called the difference of perfect squares. What does the word difference mean? Subtraction. Good. A perfect square is a number or a letter times itself. X times x gives me x squared, right? 4 times 4 gives me 16. So difference of perfect squares is the same two terms, x and 4, just with different signs in the middle. When you have the same parenthesis multiplied by itself twice, this isn't the difference. Do you understand that this is multiplied by itself twice because it says squared? In order to figure this out, you don't say this. Oh, it's x squared plus 9. No. This really says x plus 3 times x plus 3. So x times x is x squared, plus x times 3 is 3x, plus 3 times x is 3x, plus 3 times 3 is 9. So this works out to be x squared plus 6x plus 9. Two totally different things. Just make sure you guys see that. If it was raised to the 3rd power, that means how many parentheses do you have? 3. You add out all 3 and you FOIL it. It's a little messy, but nothing you guys can't do. All right, we're going to look at something like that now. What does this say? 3x squared minus 2 quantity squared. If I'm asking you to multiply that, what are you guys writing down? 2 parentheses. In each parenthesis, it says what? 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2. Are the middle terms going to cancel out on this one? No. If the signs were opposite, the middle terms would cancel out. But they're not opposite. They're the same. So this is just going to become a FOILing problem. 3 times 3, 9x squared. 3x times negative 2 is minus 6x. Negative 2 times 3 is minus 6x. And then negative 2 and negative 2 is plus 4. Combine the middle terms. You have 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. Again, the middle terms do not cancel out because this middle term, or the middle sign, is the same. In a case like this, this just says I take this one binomial and write it how many times? 3. I have x plus 2, x plus 2, and x plus 2. Guys, you cannot do this. You can't do all three of them at the same time. My suggestion to you is to rewrite the first one and deal with the second two. What is x times x? X squared. X times 2, 2x. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times 2, 4. What can you do here with 2x and 2x? You can add them. So you have x plus 2. You still have to multiply into x squared plus 4x plus 4. All I did with that first parenthesis is just bring it down. And then bring it down again. You cannot FOIL 3 parentheses at one time. It doesn't matter which one. If they were all different numbers, and Ozzy multiplied the first two, and then Emily multiplied the first and the third, and Marissa multiplied the second and the third, you all get the same answer at the end. It doesn't matter the order. It's just a matter that you obviously do your computation correctly. So now we're going to FOIL again. X times x squared is x to the third. X times 4x is plus 4x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Second term, we're going to say 2 times x squared is plus 2x squared. 2 times 4x is plus 8x. And 2 times 4 is 8. Now just clean it up. It's the highest exponent you see. X cubed. So then I have, God bless you, 4x squared into 2x squared gives me 6x squared. Then I have 4x and 8x gives me 12x plus 8. And there you go. X minus 1 quantity cubed just means I have 3 x minus 1s. Like I said, I like to just leave that first one alone and then deal with the second two. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 1 times negative 1 is plus 1. So you have x minus 1 times x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then just multiply again. X times x squared is x cubed. X times minus 2x is minus 2x squared. X times 1 is x. Negative 1 times x is minus x squared. Negative 1 and negative 2x is plus 2x. Negative 1 and positive 1 is minus 1. So when we combine like terms, the only x cubed I see is just that one at the front, so we rewrite it. Minus 2x minus 2x squared, sorry. Minus 1x squared gives me minus 3x squared. I have a positive x and a positive 2x gives me plus 3x minus 1. Now, guys, I go through this pretty quickly. I understand that. I don't expect you to do that. I expect you to take your time, make sure that you don't get crazy with your exponents because your quiz grade is based upon your work. So just because you turn something in first does not get you any extra credit. It doesn't make me think like, oh my gosh, they're so smart. Not at all. You should check your work and recheck just to make sure you didn't make any silly mistakes or anything. It's really important. All right, this last one is just to show you the difference. It says sum and difference of same terms. Do you guys see that these two parentheses, 5x plus 9, 5x minus 9. The reason why this is called the sum and difference of the same terms, what is the first term in each binomial? 5x. What is the second term in each binomial, regardless of sign? 9. Do you notice how the parenthesis terms are the same, but the signs in the middle are different? This is our difference of perfect squares. 5x times 5x is 25x squared. 5x and negative 9 is negative 45x. 9 and 5 is plus 45x. And then negative 9 and positive 9 is minus 81. And every time you have the difference of perfect squares, what happens with the middle terms? They cancel out. So you have 25x squared minus 81. So in this lesson, we're combining everything. When we go to factoring, you guys are going to start off with something like this, and you're going to break it down. You're going to do the opposite direction. Does that make sense? You guys good? Oh, I know. My goodness.